I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for Life in the UK Test, part 160, Problems in the Economy in the 1970s, part 3, while doing risk training, and if you participate in risk training, that is at your risk. So we are starting with the article at the beginning because that is pretty complex. In the late 1970s, the post-war economic boom came to an end. Okay, so there was an economic boom and that slowed down at the end of the 1970s. The prices of goods and of raw materials began to rise sharply, and the exchange rate between the pound and other currencies was unstable. Things got more expensive, and the pound couldn't be just reliable exchanged with other currencies which were in the other countries. So Europe had other currencies, not the euro, but each country had different currencies. And if people wanted to change the pound from Britain with currencies from the European countries, it was not so easy because the exchange rate was not reliable. And this caused problems with the balance of payments. Imports of goods were valued at more than the price paid for exports. I don't understand the sense, so I can't explain it. Many industries and services were affected by strikes, and this caused problems between the trade unions and the government. I don't think that unions were mentioned to us in any way or shape or form. I don't think so. Now, I think from the context, if you read the second sentence, people began to argue that the unions were too powerful and that their activities were harming the UK. That these unions are the unions of the workers. No, why are they then trade unions? They wouldn't be called trade unions. Maybe because no, they can't be called trade unions. Are trade unions firms, organizations, or countries? Or a union of countries? This must be firm-like organizations. And what caused the strikes? Were the unions saying we're striking, and the workers were doing the strikes? And when the people said that the unions were too powerful because too many people were striking, which caused too much problems with the unstable pound. I don't think that it is true what I just said, so that's why I'm not repeating it clearly. The 1970s was also a time of serious unrest in Northern Ireland. In 1972, the Northern Ireland Parliament was suspended and Northern Ireland was directly ruled by the UK government. Some 3,000 people lost their lives in the decades after 1969 in violence in Northern Ireland. So we had to that a little bit. That was the partition of Ireland, which were not really explained. What they said in the title, I don't know where it was, but they said that there was a time referred to the trouble, and that is when people who, these were three sentences which were not coherent. I don't really know what the word coherent means. There were people in both parts of Ireland who disagreed with the split between North and the South. So Ireland was split into the northern part, 6 counties of the northern part, they were part of the UK, and the rest became the Irish Free State and then the Irish Republic in 1949. And we actually never named the Irish Republic by name in this book, in these 56 pages, ever. All we're saying is it had its own government, it became a republic in 1949. This is not the name. The name is not Republic. And the name, it became a republic. Now the name could now be, we can assume it is Republic Irish Free State. But I'm pretty sure that it is called the Republic of Ireland. So there were people in both parts of Ireland who disagreed with the split between North and South. They still wanted Ireland to be one independent country. So they don't want that Ireland is split in the northern part, which is part of the UK, and the Irish Free State, which is the Republic of Ireland. Years of disagreement led to a terror campaign in Northern Ireland and elsewhere. The conflict between those wishing for full Irish independence and those wishing to remain loyal to the British government is often referred to as the Troubles. The 1970s was also a time of serious unrest in Northern Ireland. In 1972, the Northern Ireland Parliament was suspended and Northern Ireland was directly ruled by the UK government. Did that happen in 1972 exclusively, or did it continue in 1973, or even until today? Technically not. If I say no, it doesn't mean technically not. If we're saying in 1972, it can also be happening in 1973. Now and forever. Maybe we're going to tell us later. We have some other colored chapters, and we're actually at the end of a long and illustrious history. So maybe all these questions which I'm asking all the time are coming then because this is history and not day-to-day life. So maybe all my questions will be answered, or many of them. The Parliament was suspended in 1972, and Northern Ireland was directly governed by the UK government. Some 3,000 people lost their lives in the decades after 1969 in the violence in Northern Ireland. I think they're still speaking about the Troubles and not something second. So in these Troubles where people who wanted Ireland to be one independent country, though independent, one independent country, though not split, were leading, some of them, a terror campaign in Northern Ireland and elsewhere. The conflict between those wishing for full Irish independence and those wishing to remain loyal. Why is that the contrast? Wishing full Irish independence, loyal to the British government. Is there not a third party who is okay with Northern Ireland not being part of the Republic of Ireland but want independence? Why is the main conflict between those wishing for full Irish independence, which does not mean full Irish independence from the British government, but to be full Ireland independent from the British government, between those who wanted to stay part of the United Kingdom? In these times of the Troubles, 3,000 people lost in this violence their lives. Now we're trying to make that one part here in the middle. Maybe that will turn out more important for us than what's happening in Ireland. Working with radar led Sir Bernard Lowell to make new discoveries in astronomy. The radio telescope he built at Drogheda in Cheshire was for many years the biggest in the world and continues to operate today. Is that an invention? I think no. He has not written that he invented the radio telescope. Therefore, we don't have to learn. We're doing it anyway. Sir Bernard Lowell, built I don't know how big these things are, if he built it completely alone or with help of other workers. Sir Bernard Lowell built the radio telescope in Cheshire, for many years the biggest, and which still operates today. The name was Bernard Lowell. Television was invented by John Logie Baird, and the radar by Robert Watson Watt. Yeah, 3 names in an amateur machine, developed in the 1930s. And we're doing a risk training. If you participate in it, that is at your own risk, because stable and good functioning risks are any day important, also important for the healthcare, so that the state does not pay too much for not functioning risks. We're having a flat hands next to us, and we bring these flat hands to the inside and to the outside. This is called the magician, and we're having 3 rules. The first rule is we're doing nothing new, so if you're just here for, I think the next part was again the person I don't know the name completely. If you're here for learning the inventions, the people inventing it, and the date when they were invented, and the next person we're talking about, you can go on to the next part. So, the third rule comes into effect, which I'm going to tell in a moment. The next exercise, the pancake flipper, flat hand next to us, and we're bringing these flat hands up and again down. The first rule is that we're stopping immediately as soon as we feel pain. The second rule is that we are going only as far as you can go with a little bit of effort. And the third rule is that we're not doing too much, so we're not overdoing it. As soon as we reached our potential, we're stopping and doing something else. And in this case, that is the T-Rex in the morning. Flat hands out, and we're bringing them down, and again up. And the last time, and again down. And now the cautious Big Bang. Place the fingertips of one hand on the fingernails of the other hand, and press a bit on them, and open slowly, and close again slowly. And now we're changing, and we are opening and closing. Last time. And now, I don't think we have an exercise left. So we're just doing the classic exercise. We're having a long arm, making a little bend, and going with middle pressure, moderate pressure, over the middle part of the lower arm. And on the other side. And now we're having 3 minutes left. So, Sir Bernard Lovell. Of all these names, I don't know how they are pronounced. Bernard Lovell. Bernard Lovell, he built the radar telescope in Cheshire. Let's remember the other way around. But at the time of its building, largest radio telescope, and still today in use, at the time of its building and still in use, at the time of its building, largest and still in use radio telescope in Cheshire was built by Sir Bernard Lovell. But by the time of its building and still in use, largest and still in use, but by the time of its building, largest and still in use radio telescope in Cheshire was built by Sir Bernard Lovell. And Sir Robert Watson Watt made the first successful radar test. No, the first successful test was done. We don't know if he was there. Of a radar, Sir Robert Watson Watt. And the television, that was John Logie Baird, 1920-1935 first test, 1932. John Logie Baird. John Logie Baird. Sir Bernard Lovell was the radio telescope, Alan Turing, the Turing machine, and the television, John Logie Baird. Now let's make at the end 5 fundamental values and principles of the United Kingdom. These are democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, and participation in community life. I only have 5 more. Respect others and their opinions, treat others with kindness, look for yourself and others. So with that, I thank you very much. We will continue with Mary Peters, and for quite some time with the greatest British inventions. So I thank you very much, and next time.